mini little op. You know, we're prepping to see if he was in transit. They were worried about the cartels, and so we were kind of kitted up. I almost died down there. I almost drowned. It was actually closest I ever came to death was on that little op. But that was my first real kind of thing, and it also shook me awake going, oh man, this is big boy rules now. I gotta make sure I stay locked on and nobody's gonna keep you alive out here.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Man, I never quite felt that because there's always that next level up, right? And I have some homies, you know, operating at the tip of the spear. So there was always that humbleness, and there's dudes that had done a lot, you know? But it was a surreal moment when I walked up to my cage, my locker. That was a trip because, man, I had walked out of jail 3 years to the day almost. And now I'm standing at my SEAL locker. And I'm like, well, my name on it, my cage, and I was like, whoa, at SEAL Team 7 in the locker. That was a trip. That was a moment where I was like, whoa, man.
Because you have to overcome a lot, because you're about to go through some serious psychological torture. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Let's call it what it is. Serious psychological torture, and they do that it's a game. It's just, it's on a completely different level than the police academy, what we went through. But once you figure out the game of the police academy, it becomes pretty easy.
Yeah, there's really no comparison, but it's just on like
it's the mind game.
Fuck,
yeah.
You know,
the
they try to
mind
mind fuck you, you know.
And trust me, what you went through is nothing. You know, what we went through is nothing compared to what you went through. So you're sitting there, and you know you're getting ready, and you know the hardest part's coming.
Yeah,
like you know what everybody talks about.
Yeah,
and I know it's such a small portion of SEAL training, but that Hell Week, when they're trying to get you to quit.
Yeah, I was scared, man. Loading up for that, I was scared. I mean, we had a hardcore group, too. I mean, like, my first phase instructors were Marcus Capone and Eddie Gallagher, were two of them, right?
Eddie Gallagher, why do I know that name? Was he in 234?
No, he was the dude that was, you know, Trump had to pardon.
Okay, Eddie Gallagher, that's it. Yeah.
So I was at SEAL Team 7 with him, too. Awesome operator. That guy's hardcore, man. He's legit. So I felt like I had instructors that really were about the business, and we had a tough class, and it was cold, man, and I hate running too, and so the running was always difficult for me. I was always making the times barely, and then people just start getting whittled down, and by the end of it, you know, we flew out with about 400, and then we finished with probably about 48 guys finished probably.
Wow.
So you're sitting in Hell Week, the first time somebody goes and rings the bell, and the ringing the bell is obviously to signify that this person has quit. Do you remember the first person that quit?
No, man, it was so much chaos. There was people that quit before we even started, right? Just out of straight fear of it being not even started the course yet. There was a lot of those too.
Which is crazy because it sounds like getting to this point is difficult.
Yeah.
You know, you said
that's what I thought.
Getting a contract is not easy.
Yeah.
And to quit before you even start.
The anticipation of the pain, right, is often worse.
It's about that mental stress, right?
Right? The anticipation of the what's about to happen. I had nowhere else to go, so that's where I was like, not even an option.
That's a great motivating tool.
Yeah.
So the biggest recipe for failure is having a plan B.
Yeah.
I've heard that over and over throughout my life.
There is no plan B.
Yeah.
Listen, if I leave here, I got nothing. So guess what? I might as well break myself in order to get here.
Yeah.
So as the SEALs, once you're SEAL 7, like once you're done with this, now you're a team. But when you're in Hell Week, there has to be some individual drive. Like, listen, I'm by myself here. I have to get through because no one else is really going to help me here. I have to get through myself, right?
Yeah, you have your little boat crews, and you're kind of with like 6 guys, 7 guys throughout the whole thing. So you do have a little bit, but that gets moved around.
Is it competitive in that sense? Like guys are like, or is it just
no? You're like just getting through. Everyone's just kind of like muscling through, and so dudes are quitting, but you're in your own world, man, and the dust settles at the end.
I don't know what you looked like when you went through SEAL training, but you're not a little dude, like, you know. And I know they pair the boat crews up by height because you know if they got a guy who's 6'7",
were you always this big?
I'm like 215 now. I went through buds about 185.
So you were.
I wasn't small. You know, I'm 6 feet, 185 going through.
Right, you're not like. I can imagine the littler guys had an easier time. You got a lot of weight to carry around.
Yeah, man, I paid the man, bro, on the runs and stuff. But you know what? I trained so hard going in, running was never great, but I think it really helped me is regarding the stress fractures and stuff that dudes got. I never got any stress related injuries.
Yeah, that's the whole Goggins thing, right? He had all those
stress fractures and stuff. Yeah, and a lot of guys get those.
I'm sure, because it's just your body's not meant to do all those things.
And it's just the volume. Yeah, the volume.
So you get through Hell Week, and then they got what's a walking phase that they call it?
Yeah, the walking week is right after, just to kind of heal up a little bit.
Heal up, but so the cool thing I heard about buds, and again, this is all me hearing stuff, is you get to eat whatever you want to eat. You're burning so many calories, they just get to eat whatever.
They feed you good too, man, and that galley in buds is legit, man. I mean, steaks and they're not feeding you normal military food.
With somebody who's in there, who's got no plan B, and I know this is a weird question, but like your diet, I'm sure you had choices of pizza, or you had choices of steak.
Yeah, they were pretty good about what they fed us. I don't remember too much. I mean, they had some cakes and shit like that. I was always just focused on the meat and the fruit and stuff. I was never into. I'll mac down a pizza though, then for sure. No, at that time, man, I would put a box of cereal down every night just to like quell the hunger.
Carb
Yeah, man, a box of
But your body's burning so much that sugar just
just poof.
The doubt going through those phases, I'm sure that at some point. When you're in Hell Week, you're doubting, am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? It's that doubt that creeps in your mind. And then you make it through Hell Week and you're like, all right, I got it. But I know there's other very difficult phases after that.
Yeah.
When did you finally start saying, okay, I'm going to get my Trident? This is going to happen. This is a reality.
Yeah, that's a good question, is because then you have SQT after too, but you start to see light at the end of the tunnel, I'll say.
SQT, is that where they take you off to that island?
That's third phase, but SEAL qualification training is the 7 months after buds, which is the skydiving, the land warfare, the close quarters combat, all that stuff, the technical side. But you can still fail stuff there, and dudes do, but it's rare. After pool competency week in blue phase, where you do the 20-minute test underwater,
where they try to drown you.
Yeah, where they pretty much do drown you, is your percentages of actually finishing go up quite a bit. But it was when I finished buds when they said, hey, y'all have successfully navigated basically on our demolition SEAL. And I went, whoa, man. Because I saw the documentaries and grew up wanting to be, and now I had just finished that. So that was cool.
Now you're part of Jesse Ventura. The key component to any law enforcement officer being the best version of themselves is through education. Sherry Alsop is a leader in providing that education to police agencies, preparing them for the all too frequent dealings with sexual assault victims.
You've seen Sherry on episode 169 of the Suffering Podcast. She survived incest and almost daily sexual assault, so she comes from a place of experience and true understanding.
Sherry has the intelligence, commitment, and compassion to open the eyes of those on the front lines, while providing the tools to effectively deal with a difficult situation. Sherry's instruction comes from experience and multiple certifications.
Training with Sherry will offer on-site training, customized schedules, specialized instruction, tailored from a victim's perspective.
You are going to hear Sherry's heart-wrenching but inspiring survivor story. Learn proprietary trauma-informed training techniques, uncovered victim-centered interview methods while earning continuing education credits according to your state guidelines. To be the best, you must learn from the best. Let Sherry also guide you through the delicate cases of sexual assault from a victim's point of view.
Be a source of comfort to those victims affected by these traumatic experiences while producing a solid investigation and uncovering details that often go unnoticed.
To find out more or to contact Sherry Alsop, go to sherryalsop.com. That's SherryAllsup.com. Before you actually get your Trident, now you're amongst this elite group that got as far as you did, and you're amongst the Chris Kyles, the David Goggins, the Jocko Willings. You're among this weird fraternity that's so few people. You are, like you said, the tip of the spear. How's your mind? You're coming from this area now where you were looking for your identity. You think this is what it is?
I was so happy. I was right where I was supposed to be. I was fired up. I was at work early, leaving late, getting accolades, taking on responsibility, getting lots of qualifications early. I felt like I was on a divine wave, man.
So the discipline probably did something for you too.
It helped. I was pretty locked on. I was just happy to be there, man. I was just stoked to have made it and be there, and especially after all the shit,
And then you finally get your Trident. That one day that you're waiting for. So what happens after you get your Trident? Do you get your orders? What happens?
Yeah, they send you. We went to language school for 3 months, but you get assigned to your SEAL team. So I got assigned to SEAL Team 7.
And you have Eddie Gallagher as your commander?
No, he was just in the platoon. He was just an instructor going through, but ended up going to Team 7 as an operator.
But he's obviously he's just another SEAL at this point. He's not where he is right now. And listen, I do watch that guy because I think he's got a real great message. So there's something about the mindset of a SEAL that I'm just so interested in. You got somebody like Bobby. Bobby here is locked on. Like he can be super focused on whatever he's doing. And you.
Oh, man.
The one without the hair in the room.
Go fuck yourself.
And then there's someone like you. Like, I think you could have done it. I think you got the mindset to do it.
I actually wanted to be an Army Ranger.
Oh, yeah?
My father's Army, and he pushed me. And I just was, talk about no discipline. And so, I just didn't have the drive to do it. I played all sports. I just was like happy to exist until one day I woke up and the police test came out, and I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do.
So mine was easy. Like, I tried to sophomore year in college, I tried to join the Marines. My grandfather kicked the shit out of me. He was a World War II vet. He kicked the shit out of me because he's like, no, you go to college. You don't go in the military. I hated the military. Yeah. And they said I had too many knee surgeries, so I couldn't do it. Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I tried. I did my thing, and that was the end of it for me. And I figured, I'm not going. If I'm going to Marines. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
You're way too soft, dude.
Fuck you. Yeah, you're right. So what was your first orders? What did you have to do first?
First thing, I went to comm school, Naval Special Warfare Communications School, volunteered for that. Then I went to Joint Terminal Attack Controller School, which is coordinating ordnance drops from aircraft. Then I went to did a G20 summit, like maritime extraction force for Obama was down there in Cabo, and that was like a mini little op. We're prepping to see if he was in transit. They were worried about the cartels, and so we were kind of kitted up. I almost died down there. I almost drowned. It was actually closest I ever came to death was on that little op. But that was my first real kind of thing, and it also shook me awake going, oh man, this is big boy rules now. I gotta make sure I stay locked on and nobody's gonna keep you alive out here.
Well, that's what people don't realize. You go through SEAL training, you figure, okay, you're done. You can step off let your foot off the gas a little bit. No, you really can't.
There has to be a routine for staying physically and mentally fit, like every single day.
Yeah, you're expected to. There's no like group PTs and stuff like that. It doesn't in the SEAL teams. You are full autonomy. Like,
you're around a bunch of gorillas.
Yeah,
okay?
You're a full autonomy.
You better step up.
Yeah, and it'll show in a training cell if you show up not ready. So that I came back from that. Then I went to sniper school. So I went to sniper school in Atterbury, Indiana, and Naval Special Warfare sniper school and passed. Now I got some pretty good qualifications, and we started our work up prepping to go to Yemen.
Did you end up going to Yemen?
Yeah. So I went to Yemen, just growing a beard, getting weird, just off the flagpoles, like 7 or 8 of us, actually, not a lot, in civilian clothes, way out. And that was about 7 months we were out there.
So the one thing I know about reading a lot about SEALs is there's wartime SEALs and there's peacetime SEALs, and they're very different individuals. Like Jesse Ventura would talk about it. He goes, I was a great wartime operator.
Yeah.
He wasn't a SEAL because they didn't have the SEALs yet, but I was a great wartime operator. I was a horrible peacetime operator.
Yeah.
Because when it's peacetime and there's nothing to do, so focus on uniform, focus on shave and stuff. Where did you fit into that?
I would get hit for, having my hair too long every now and again and stuff like that. But luckily it's pretty lax. But this is kind of where my journey and the suffering started that I was bestowing on myself was, man, I got an arrest, drinking, I got
while you were a SEAL.
Yeah. So I had multiple. So, and that was the thing, they were spread out about a year, drunk in public or whatever.
Yeah. But I from a police standpoint, I gotta, like, what the fuck was wrong with that officer for arresting you? Like, I caught a lot of military.
The cops?
Well, no, they actually hooked me up because it was like a hook and book. Hey, we're not even going to run paperwork type thing. So they're like, and I was just too drunk, man. I was like, yeah. They're like, hey, sleep it off type thing. And that happened twice in a year apart. which I kind of just skated by because it's in alcohol-related incidents in the SEAL, you're going to get blasted. And so I was, but the momentum was picking up. Now I was kind of drinking a little bit of my own Kool-Aid. Not cocky, but now I'm partying harder. Now I'm, coming back from Yemen. Now I'm, just kind of getting ahead of my skis. And I hit a guy in a bar, and that was like an aggravated assault now. Yeah. And that was some serious shit. I had top secret clearance. I ended up having to go to jail and whatever and all this stuff. Kept my top secret clearance, get demoted, whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm clear. I get another thing 3 months later, and that was the nail in the coffin.
What was the reason that you were doing this stuff?
I don't know, man. Like looking back, I just didn't see what the problem was until it was too late.
Right? You had, because looking from the outside in, you had everything you ever wanted.
Man, I felt too good. Right, that was the thing. Is I'm like, when you're peaking, be careful.
Top of the world.
I was celebratory. Yeah. Right, it was like that. I was like, man.
Do you think you might have had an alcohol problem?
Oh, I mean, I definitely overconsume. I don't go soft in the paint.
You're amongst friends here with alcohol problems.
Oh,
yeah. And guys who mix it up, man, we can just a certain type, and it's not like I'm a huge, problem, but it's just, you're going to create some karmic
I think the
debt.
best way I can articulate that is I could be a problem without any alcohol. Yeah. But when I add the alcohol to it, I'll be a little quick to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
and then there's a real fucking problem.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
That's what booze did to me.
Well, the buffer's gone.
I was the same person.
Yeah.
I was just a little quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely, it's going to make that veil pretty thin.
So you go through your second arrest.
Yeah. And I knew I was fucked at that point.
So your idea of fucked is different from our idea of fucked. So I need to know what your idea of fucked is.
I'm going to get kicked out of the SEAL teams. I'm fucked.
And now what?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, well, I wasn't even worried about jail. That was like the last thing I was concerned about. But I knew I was toast, man. And Navy JAG. And I actually didn't even get kicked out for that. The Navy SEAL community was actually very great with me. They're like, tried to protect me. I actually beat that case. It got thrown out. So what actually ended up being nothing. But they tested me for steroids, Navy JAG, and so I actually got hit for performance-enhancing drugs. That was I took a general discharge because of steroids.
Wow.
Yeah, that was actually what did it, and that's zero tolerance. So that's a zero tolerance thing.
You got any left?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Get you whatever you need.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So, is that like a common thing? You think with guys in special forces and any special force that, you have to keep your body. You're getting torn down constantly. You need things to keep you. You have to have your testosterone level has to be up. Everything has to be up. Do you think that's something that I think just so you look? I think other guys maybe. I'm not asking you to say anything out of line here.
No, I just for me, I was doing it. I wanted to be stronger, look better, and I knew what I was doing. Right, I knew it was against the rules, and there's possibilities some shit could come down. So I was playing with fire, and I knew it. Now I think the testosterone and TRT is kind of a little bit more mainstream, and so they're actually military doctors issue it.
Just like you getting locked up for marijuana, now it's legal.
Yeah.
Like there's no, it's just the weirdest shit. Yeah. I did jail time for marijuana, right? And now people are smoking it, blowing it in your face.
Yeah. So the younger generations now, like, what happens? Did you rob it out of a 7-Eleven?
Yeah.
Well, just go to jail for that stuff for. But again, you're like Bobby said, you're performing at such a high level. You're expected to perform at such a high level, and as time moves on, you're not as young as you used to be. You need to try to keep going and keep at that level because it's something that you apparently love. So do you end up getting kicked out of the SEALs?
Yeah. So I signed a deal. They say, hey, if you just admit the guilt, not drag this thing out, we'll take a general discharge. So I took a general under honorable discharge. Had to go back to jail to get off probation again in Idaho, right? So I'm going back to jail.